Right now, as you're reading this, your child's brain is actively constructing itself, forming connections and pathways. It's a critical window of opportunity that many parents unknowingly miss. This isn't due to any fault of your own, but rather because the conventional understanding of brain development often focuses on the wrong things. It's not about rushing out to buy flashcards, investing in expensive toys, or overscheduling them with activities before they even turn 5. The real key lies in something far more subtle and accessible, something that's already present in your everyday interactions and home environment. The problem is that we've been fed a misleading narrative, the idea that intelligence is something we can forcefully instill, rigidly structure, and meticulously schedule. As a result, we often pack our children's days with structured activities, educational apps, and learning games, and then we wonder why they become overstimulated, struggle to focus, and react intensely to minor setbacks. Here's the truth. Every time you hurry your child through a moment because you're running late, every time you jump in to answer a question for them because it's quicker, and every time you solve a problem before they even have a chance to try, you're inadvertently depriving their developing brain of the experiences it needs to flourish. You're not doing this intentionally, of course. It stems from love, a desire to help, and the pressures of a demanding and busy life. You're simply trying to get through the day. However, there's a crucial piece of information that many parents are unaware of. A child's brain doesn't grow primarily from what you give them. It grows from what you allow them to grapple with, from the emotions you permit them to experience, and from the small, repeated moments of effort, curiosity, and the feeling of emotional safety. There are 6 specific habits, seemingly insignificant, that can ignite your child's brain like a dazzling fireworks display. These aren't rigid routines or inflexible rules, but rather ways to foster the formation of neural pathways. And when you consistently practice these habits, you're not just shaping behavior, you're actually shaping the very architecture of their mind. This approach is called neuroplasticity-based parenting, a method grounded in the science of how the brain truly develops and rewires itself. It completely challenges the traditional beliefs about raising intelligent and resilient children. Many parents believe that significant brain development occurs during major milestones and achievements. However, neuroscientists have discovered that the brain thrives in the quieter moments, the pauses, and the opportunities where you do less, not more. So, let's explore these 6 tiny habits that can supercharge your child's brain and understand the science behind why each one is effective. First habit, let them finish their own sentences. When your child is trying to express something but pauses mid-sentence, and you immediately jump in with the word because you think you know what they're trying to say, you're actually interrupting a critical brain process. Their prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for language, memory, and problem-solving, is actively firing, searching for the right words, and forging connections. By finishing the sentence for them, you halt this process, preventing the neural pathway from fully completing. However, if you simply wait for a few seconds, even just 5 or 10, their brain is forced to work harder. It has to retrieve information, organize thoughts into language, and make the necessary connections. This struggle is precisely what strengthens those connections. So, the next time your child pauses mid-sentence, resist the urge to jump in. Bite your tongue, count to 5 silently, and allow them to find the words, even if it takes time or if they initially choose the wrong word. That very effort is what fuels brain growth. Second habit, narrate what they're doing, not what they should do. Instead of giving commands like, put your shoes on, try narrating their actions. For example, you're picking up your shoe. You're holding it in your hand. Now you're looking at it. This technique, known as sportscasting, activates mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that help children understand their own actions by hearing them reflected back. It also strengthens their executive function by helping them become more aware of their own behavior without feeling shame or being constantly corrected. You're not controlling them, you're simply witnessing them. And when a child feels truly seen and witnessed, their brain relaxes. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, calms down and the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, comes online. Over time, this habit teaches children to narrate their own actions internally, which is the foundation of self-regulation. Third habit, let them pour their own water, even if they spill. This one often makes parents anxious because spills mean messes, and messes mean more work. However, consider what's happening in their brain when they pour. Their cerebellum is coordinating their movements, their visual cortex is judging distances, their motor cortex is controlling their grip strength, and their prefrontal cortex is planning each step of the process. That's 4 major brain regions firing simultaneously. When you pour the water for them simply because it's faster, you deprive them of this crucial integration. But when you let them try, even if half the water ends up on the floor, you're building spatial awareness, fine motor control, and something even more important, agency. Agency is the belief that they are capable, that their actions have meaning, and that they can try, fail, and try again. Fourth habit, pause before you answer their questions. When your child asks, "Why is the sky blue?" and you immediately launch into a detailed explanation, you inadvertently shut down their natural curiosity circuit. Instead, pause, look at them, and say something like, what do you think? This simple response activates their hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and imagination. It compels them to hypothesize, to wonder, and to create their own understanding. Even if their initial answer is completely inaccurate, the very act of thinking and formulating a response is what matters. And when you follow up with something like, "That's interesting. Let's think about it together," you're co-regulating their learning process. You're teaching them that it's okay not to know everything, that curiosity is valued, and that the process of thinking is more important than simply being right. This mindset, repeated consistently over months and years, cultivates a brain that loves learning rather than fearing failure. Fifth habit, let them be bored. This is often the most challenging habit to embrace because when your child says, "I'm bored," every instinct within you wants to fix it, to offer a screen, suggest an activity, or fill the silence. But boredom is not a problem. It's actually a gift. When the brain has nothing specific to do, it enters what's called the default mode network, a state where creativity, problem-solving, and emotional processing flourish. This is when children invent games, stare at the ceiling and daydream, and begin to figure out who they are. If you constantly entertain them, their brain never learns to entertain itself. So, the next time they say, "I'm bored," smile. Say, "I know. That's okay," and walk away. Let them sit with it, let them squirm, and let them discover that boredom is simply the starting point of imagination. Sixth habit, slow down your own nervous system first. This is the habit that's often overlooked. Your child's brain is constantly scanning your face, your breath, and your tone of voice. If you're stressed, their amygdala picks up on it in milliseconds. Their body tenses, their cortisol levels spike, and their thinking brain shuts down. However, if you pause, take one deep breath, and soften your face, their nervous system will often follow suit. This is co-regulation, and it's the most powerful tool you have. Before you react to a meltdown, a question, or a mess, take just one slow, steady breath. Your calm becomes their calm. And over time, your regulated nervous system teaches their brain how to regulate itself. Now, let's see what this looks like in real life. Without these habits, mornings can be chaotic. Your child can't find their shoes, you're telling them to hurry, they're asking 100 questions, and you're answering them while packing lunches. Everyone's cortisol levels are spiking, and by the time you get to the car, you're both completely drained. With these habits, the morning is different. Your child is putting on their shoes slowly, and you're narrating, you're pulling the strap. You're tucking your foot in. They spill their cereal. You pause, you breathe, and you say, "You're wiping it up." They ask why the moon is still out. You don't immediately answer, you ask what they think. The morning may take the same amount of time, but their brain is building pathways for patience, problem solving, and calm. Day 1, they'll likely resist. They'll say you do it when you ask them to pour, or they'll get frustrated when you don't immediately answer their questions. That's perfectly normal. But after 3 to 5 days, something shifts. They start trying, they start thinking, and they start narrating their own actions without you prompting them. By the end of the first month, you'll likely notice that they're calmer, more focused, and more curious. They'll try new things without constantly asking for permission, and they'll solve problems without melting down. They'll feel capable. And that feeling, that quiet confidence, is worth more than any grade or achievement. Because here's the long-term truth. These 6 habits don't just build a smarter brain. They build a brain that feels safe, a brain that isn't afraid to try, to fail, and to wonder, a brain that knows it's capable. And that becomes the foundation for everything: resilience, creativity, emotional intelligence, and self-regulation. Your child won't remember the specific morning you let them pour their own water, but their brain will. It will remember the feeling of being trusted, of being seen, and of being allowed to grow. So, here's the challenge. Pick one habit, just one. Try it today. Let them finish their sentence. Let them pour the water, or let them be bored for 5 minutes and watch what happens. Because raising a smart kid isn't about doing more. It's about doing less and trusting more. It's about understanding that the brain doesn't need to be taught, it needs to be allowed. Thanks for watching. If this helped, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And like this video if you're going to try even one of these habits today. That's it. Now go be the calm your child's brain needs.